I'll move on to next is Wolves. They're not going to get relegated anytime soon. And despite our thoughts at the start of the season, yeah, go back and check our predictions video. I'll link it if I have to, just to show us up a bit more. But I'm happy to say that we're probably wrong on this occasion. And the way Wolves beat Fulham this weekend, you know, against all the odds with the injuries they've got stacking up and a couple more injuries to boot in this game, the job that Gary O'Neill's doing, we've said it so many times in the last few weeks alone, but this has surprised us on another level again, this result, hasn't it? Because it was so unexpected, even for him. He even said in the post-match, you know, if we qualify for Europe, which is definitely in the kind of equation now, it'd be a huge achievement.
Oh, incredible. And it's funny, like, you are right. We both, at the start of the season, just thought that the chaos that ensued around Lopetegui moving out so late in the season as well, it's less than ideal circumstances for a manager of any kind of experience level. Yeah. So for O'Neill to come in and take on this squad and make it his own, really, because he's not really done that in the market, has he?
No pre-season
That's purely out of his coaching. Exactly. So I think it's a fantastic achievement for him. And watching him speak, actually, post-game as well, it's quite easy to feel quite optimistic for him.
I think so, yeah.
And appreciate what he's doing. I think it's a really nice thing. And this game, I think, was one of the ones that impressed me the most so far with Wolves, weirdly, because we're talking about a Fulham side who are in red-hot form. I mean, not at Molineux. Apparently, they've not won at Molineux for 40 years or something ridiculous. Like, it's a really long run. And I think they scored right at the end of the game. It was the first time they'd scored there since Andy Johnson scored, I think, 13 years ago. So it's a weird fixture for them. But even being said, like, we're talking about a Fulham that looked transformed over the last few weeks, and they were playing excellent football. And that first half alone would have been enough to rock most teams. Fulham were the better side in the first half. They created some really good chances. Wolves lost 2 players, which you never want to see happen, particularly when you're already threadbare, and when one of them is Pedro Neto, who's arguably Wolves' most important player right now. So the fact that they overcame not just the injuries before game, but changed their system during to cope with the kind of obstacles they faced, and their fullbacks got forward to such an effective rate, shows the excellent coaching that's taken place there.
You mentioned the fullbacks. I've got to kind of shine a spotlight on Ryan Ait-Nouri. He's been fantastic this season, and he looked a bit doubtful last season. I think that he had the quality that we hoped he had, but this season, and obviously with the change of his role slightly in this game to be more advanced, he really thrived off it, didn't he? A clear man of the match. And again, got to give credit to O'Neill for sort of seeing an opportunity there to use a player in his skill set in a different way, and it worked.
Yeah, because although his goal came from the set piece, you're right. Throughout the game, he was putting himself into really good attacking positions. There was a moment right towards the end where Wolves nearly grabbed the third, and he was instrumental in that as well. And that's a really encouraging thing. That, like you say, it's a player that maybe looked like they weren't going to quite live up to their potential and their ceiling. So again, we've got to give the coach some credit because he's found a system that does suit him. Do you know the other one that I think doesn't get enough credit? Jose Sarr is an excellent goalkeeper. Yeah. Like, I think he's really, really underrated. Yeah, I think he's one of the best keepers in the league. If he was playing at United, I have to say, I think he'd make less errors than Onana does, for example. Like, if he was at a bigger club, I think he'd get a bit more attention. I think he's fantastic, Jose Sarr.
Yeah, I think, well, one of the few players who probably weren't performing to their best in the last couple of seasons before this, and, you know, put them in the conversation for Wolves looking at maybe relegation candidates in the first place because there were so many players that weren't performing. But all it took was a good coach to inspire them. I listen to Gary O'Neill and I feel confident and optimistic, and it's that kind of aura of a manager, isn't it? I bet it's a really good man manager as well, and an astute tactician to go with it. And you look at them now; they're in, what did you say, 9th place in the table now, which is mad. Within the touching distance of West Ham, it's not kind of unfeasible. Really, they could qualify for Europe, and in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup too. It's proving to be a mad season for Wolves fans, isn't it?
They're 2 points off West Ham.
Yeah,
and West Ham are 7th. It's only a game, and we know West Ham are quite inconsistent. Like, it's very feasible that in a week's time, Wolves will win a game and West Ham will lose one. That's nothing to shift. They're 6 points behind United.
Yeah. Well, they've got Coventry in the FA Cup quarter-final as well, and I know that's not a given, but imagine them in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Mad achievement.
Mate, That's all Gary O'Neill. It's funny because you obviously talked about our predictions at the start of this, and like both of us immediately said as soon as I think, in fact, we delayed recording our predictions at the time. I remember because we'd all kind of picked, and then the news dropped that Lopetegui had gone, and we were like, "Oh, that is Wolves absolutely done for." So when you say, "Yeah, we were probably wrong about that one," I think it's a bit more than probably now, isn't it?